Today on Jesse Duplantis Ministries.
He will not allow that hurt, even as a small child, to ever come into anybody's life, especially his children. That's why we're not God's adults. I'm going to call this sermon Pages in Time. And it's my time. I'm going to tell you what I think about Jesus, so I'm going to start. On July the 9th, at 11:53, 1949, Jesse Duplantis was born to Paul and Velma Duplantis in Algiers, Louisiana, at Dr. LaRocca's hospital. My mother was in hard labor for about 20 hours. And when I was birthed, and I wasn't that big of a baby, she said, "Thank God," until she saw my face. She thought I didn't have a nose or a mouth or eyes, because my whole face was covered with a veil of skin. And when Dr. LaRocca, now the Lord told me to tell you this. I wouldn't have done this, but Dr. LaRocca said, "Look, isn't this amazing? A veil, baby. It's about 1 out of 20 million or more, most of the time. Very unusual." And Mom said, "Does he have any eyes? He don't have any eyes." He said, "Oh, yes, he does. And if you'll look at me," and I've had this even when I was very young, even though I got wrinkles, if you look at one line, it's usually all the way across. You see that one right there? I mean, I might have, but that one's very dominant. That's where the veil was connected. And it was all the way up under my chin. So he cut that. And there I was. And she just couldn't get over it. My aunts and my uncles said I was a crybaby. There's a reason for that. And I mean, they couldn't shut me up if my mama tried to leave me. Now, I don't remember any of this. I'm just a baby. That was July the 9th, 1949, at 11:53. It was a unique time in my life. Dr. LaRocca told my mother, "This boy is going to be unusual." And Mama said, and he said it because of the veil. He said, "This is only the second time in my whole medical career that I've ever seen it." If you know Michael Mealy at White Dove Fellowship, he was born in the same hospital that I was and delivered by the same doctor that I was. So that's why we're such good friends. So not long ago, me and Mike, the hospital no longer exists, but the slab does. So we went to Algiers, me and Mike, and stood on the slab. We wanted to erect a plaque that said, "The birth of Mike Mealy and Jesse Duplantis." But we didn't, because we're the only ones that would have loved it, probably, you know. But I was a middle child. Middle children don't get much attention. Even psychiatrists, people say that. My oldest brother, my youngest brother, and my sister got all the attention. My oldest brother was the first grandchild of my grandmother's, so he got a lot of attention. When Mark was born, my youngest brother, he got all the attention. Now, Deborah had it from the day she came because she was the only girl. Without sounding, I don't mean this in a bad way, I was just kind of pushed aside because I was the middle child. We have any middle children in here? Am I telling the truth? Not that they love you less. You just was thrown in the bucket. That's the way it was. I mean, it's a proven fact. But I was a thinker as a small child. Now I thought, why was I a crybaby? And I love babies. I like to watch them because there's purity and innocence in them. And a lot of times, a baby can see a devil that an adult can't because of its purity and its innocence. How many times you had seen somebody holding a baby and the mother got up to go to the restroom or go walk out the room and the baby starts crying? Anybody ever seen that? Because you see, the baby doesn't want to be left alone. That's probably happened to every baby in here. At that small of an age, it feels heartache. Where's mama going? Now, they'll laugh and smile when everybody's around. But if mama go, that baby looking for mama. That happens in the human race, but it'll never happen to you as a Christian because Jesus never leaves you or forsakes you. He won't walk out the room without you walking with him. He will not allow that hurt, even as a small, small child, to ever come into anybody's life, especially his children. That's why we're not God's adults. So I began to grow up in the Duplantis household, very, very poor. But we were happy. Mom and Dad did the best they could. Kathy said, you need to eat more fruit. I'm not a big fruit eater because we couldn't afford it. But thank God we had a man that owned an orange orchard. And he walked over and he said, Mrs. Duplantis, if you want some oranges, just go pick them off the trees if you want for you and your family. And about the fruit that I really love more than anything else is an orange. And I don't eat much fruit. Kathy said, you need to eat fruit, but I will eat an orange. Because we'd pick fruit off that trees. One time I filled up my mother's washing machine with oranges. Turned it on. We had orange juice for a long time. I did it to get attention. Hey, I'm here. And my mother used to tell me out of all the family, I don't have to worry about Jesse. You take care of himself. Sometimes I didn't want to. I wasn't looking for anything big. I got spanked more than any of them. Well, it wasn't spanking. It was called whippings, whoopings. Amazing what a switch will do to a child. They'll speak in tongues, even if they're Baptist. And at 5 years old, many of you know this story, watching Gone with the Wind in an 8-foot wide, 32-foot long trailer, sleeping on the floor. That's when I saw my house that I have today. And I told my mom, I'm going to build a house like the movies. Those famous words, shut up, boy. You're sleeping on the floor. And you're a Cajun. I didn't say nothing. But I remember Wayne, my oldest brother, he would say something that he would do, and they'd say, that's great. And I remember when Mark said to do something, boy, that's wonderful. And Deborah, oh God, she could do no wrong because she was the only girl. I'm not trying to get you to feel sorry for me. I'm just showing you what goes on with a middle child. And you're not even realizing, not that they love me, they not love me, but you just didn't pay that much attention. I think, in fact, I know that's why I was a crybaby. I didn't know that till last night. I could sense it as a child, as a baby. And the Lord told me last night, that will never, ever happen to any of my children because I will never leave them. My daughter Jody's here, my son-in-law is also here, praise the Lord, and Jay. And I only left Jody one time with a babysitter when she was little. In those days, a child did not have to be in a child restraint seat. They could stand up in the front seat. If you hit your brakes, you did this. How many of y'all did that? Hold your hand up. Remember that? Like as if that's going to stop the child from flying if you hit your brakes. But to adults, just the way it was. So we wanted to go to a movie or something. This was in Dallas, on Valley Meadow Road where we lived. And I dropped off, and this was a wonderful family. Now, when we went there, Jody was very bright-eyed, and if you see her today, Jody was very, very bright-eyed, you know, and her eyes, and she looked at, and when we walked out that door, I heard her cry, and the people said, she'll be okay. I got in the car, me and Kathy, and both of us just looking at each other. It's the only time we ever left Jody. We drove maybe a block, hit the brakes and said, forget this. Turned around. Went back to the people's house. Actually, it was an apartment complex, what it was. Knocked on the door, and they said, there's something wrong. I said, yes, we are wrong. Give me my baby. I saw Jody see me, and she also could tell you with your eyes, what is wrong with you, fool? You have left me here. We put her in the car. She immediately stopped crying. She was still crying. Now, it wasn't very long, maybe 2 minutes, minute. I put her in the car, and I'll never forget that little finger. And Jody could talk good as a small, I mean, like I talked to you like an adult. And now she's standing there. She looked at me, she said, don't ever do that again. That little finger, don't ever do that again. I said, I promise you, I will never do that again. She went, okay. And she went to the movies with us. I don't know if she watched it. She ate her popcorn, a little piece of candy, and fell asleep during the movie. Never, I mean, just the way, this one, she was a small child. So if you invited us, this is one of the pages in time, you got Jody. Well, children are not allowed, then we're not. We're just not going. It was just that simple. That was a page in time. And because when I saw Jody, Jody's the one that told me to grow up, and she couldn't talk. I saw her 6 seconds after she was born. And I remember looking, saying, I got to quit playing games. I got to create a future here. Because I had become a father. Okay. It was wonderful. Let me back up a page. At the Legion Park swimming pool, when I had a marvelous body. You got to see it by faith. I was a lifeguard, and I met Catherine Carrere. I met all her sisters at one time. There was Myra, Deborah, and they were in line by age for some crazy reason. Kathy, her real name is Catherine with a C, Christine, Patty. There was one brother, Daryl, he was older. And a guy wanted to date Kathy, who was a lifeguard named Matt Chasson. But he was shy. I told him, I said, you don't talk to girls, you might as well become a eunuch because you're never going to get a girl. You got to talk, man. And he said, well, maybe you can introduce me. I know this girl, Kathy. I mean, I seen her. Well, I did introduce him, but Kathy wouldn't say nothing. Both of them just. So I had to do all the talking. That's why I talk so much. You know. Well, Kathy would talk to me like nothing. She just talked to me. Most people talk to me. Even when I was not a sender, I'm friendly, you know, just talk. Later that I realized that she would become my wife. Because, see, Kathy was a pure girl, and I like the girls that were a little greasy. I like the Delilahs. I ain't gonna lie. And I'm not gonna get into the Delilah part of this thing. But I forgot my wallet, was on a date, and I said, I gotta turn around and go get the wallet. And I said, you wanna come in the house? It ain't gonna take long. And she said, yes. Kathy walks into my house. There's my mom. She looks, it goes like this. She said, that's the girl you're going to marry. I said, whoa, mama, control yourself. I just want to date with this girl. And besides, she ain't greasy. So, this is going to be a very short date. But mama was already, she said, the Lord done told me. I said, whoa, mama, don't get on the God stuff. Well, June the 6th, 1970, I married Catherine Marie Carrere. They got a little classy now. They don't call themselves Carrere. That's kids, and they go Carrere. It's like Target, Target. October the 25th, 1971, at 12:06 a.m., Jody Renee Duplantis, Kathy gave me my greatest gift. And yet I knew she was born before Kathy. Kathy was on drugs. Walked into the room. She looks at me. Jody's already in the little bassinet thing. She said, they're about ready to roll me in so I can deliver the baby. I thought to myself, I need these drugs. I want these drugs. I said, you already had the baby. And it was such a shock. She grabbed her stomach and it was gone. It was a page in time. I went on my first baby shopping spree. Just me. I went to buy a baby dress, stuff so Jody would look good coming out the hospital. And I never forget those nurses. This is such a beautiful baby. How can you be the dad? I don't understand how I looked. Long hair, Jesus sandals, embroidered jeans, puffy sleeves. I was a rocker. Went out the house, went home. 6 weeks later, Jody was on a plane coming to New Orleans, Louisiana, so I could show Mama her granddaughter. It was a page in time. I was not saved, full of the devil. I never told Kathy I loved her till 5 years after I married her. I loved her, but I couldn't say those words because that was weakness. I was told that all my life. My grandparents, my grandfathers, let me just say that. And you just didn't do that. Men don't talk like that. So I would let Kathy say, I love you, and I'd say, me too. That was my 2 words. Now this is coming what the Lord said. On Labor Day weekend, 1974, Boston, Massachusetts. It was a wonderful time. I met Jesus Christ. Got saved in a bathroom in Boston. To go to a rock show, it was 8:45. All the makeup, the typical rocker. Strips of leather. I had a 6-pack in those days, you know. Strips of leather to go down there and do a rock show. When Kathy said, why don't you watch Billy Graham on television? I said, what do I want to watch Billy for? She said, he pulls more people than you do. That got my attention. So I watched him, and through his gracious words, God used him to bring me into the family of God. I went and do the rock show, blew the place down. It was amazing. Held the record of attendance. That's 1974. And how I know that, because I met our agent years and years later in that place to almost 1990. We were a good band, very good at it. I knew that life was no longer would fit me because I was finished with the world. even though I had money coming out my ears. I was so disappointed in money because it didn't bring me happiness. So when I got born again, it took 4 months to get me out the music business. I had to do some talking because I was signed with some major power players. The William Morris Agency, ABC Corporation, and La Cosa Nostra, the mafia. They own most of the major nightclubs. So I had to go talk to a few associates. And they says, you're not happy no more. I said, I met Jesus. You got religious? I said, I guess I did. I couldn't tell him I was saved because I didn't understand that terminology. Or born again, because the Catholic Church didn't teach you that. My mama said that, and I just thought that was that crazy God stuff. They let me go. We still are great friends. They still come to my meetings, especially in New York, which makes the pastors nervous. They said, what kind of friends you got? I said, God and them. And they'd sit there and cry as I preached the gospel. I thought I was finished with that life. But everybody needs to meet Jesus. And thank God, one of the biggest mafiosi people got born again under my ministry, his grandson. And it was wonderful. They still come. When I go to Vegas, they show up and they put chips in my offering. So if you see me in a casino and I'm not gambling, I'm cashing the chips. Kind of funny, $100 chips, $500 chips, $1,000 chips. And I know where they're coming from. And they look at me and they go, we're so proud of you. You know, we watch you all the time. They got a habit of doing this when they see you. You're doing good. Because they consider me their preacher. See, they think the fix is in. Well, you ain't got to worry about nothing. If we go to hell, Jesse will get us out. Now you laugh at that. It's called purgatory. How many people in Catholic? You know what I'm talking about? A few dollars and you're in the purgatory. It's going to be there quite a while. And maybe you might make heaven, but purgatory sure a lot better than hell. Now you think that's funny, but you believe that. That was a page in history. January, the first week of 1976, a pastor got up at Terrebonne Full Gospel Temple and said, we have a special guest speaker tonight. I leaned over to Kathy. I said, who's coming to the church? He said, Jesse Duplantis will be preaching tonight. I said, he done lost his ever-loving mind. Everybody, and they said, oh, Jesse, I didn't know you preached. I wanted to tell him, I don't. I don't know. I don't. I don't. Pastor Rayford, Sidney Rayford. I said, Brother Rayford, you done lost your mind? He said, you're called and you don't know it. And since I'm your leader, I'm going to lead you into the ministry. I said, I don't know how to, I'm not qualified. I don't know how to preach. He said, you will when you get back there. I'm telling you, God is calling you. I said, I don't want to be called. I ain't been to Bible school, and I stole the first Bible I ever had in my life. It's a Gideon Bible. Then I found out you can't steal a Gideon Bible. Stole it out of a hotel. They'll give it to you. They want you to have it, so they replace it with another one. But one thing I had from the very beginning, I had faith. You know who taught it to me? The Catholic Church. That shocks you? They taught me authority. You're going to do what that priest says. How many Catholics know what I'm talking about? And at them days, you did not question that priest, because he wouldn't get you out of hell. Because he got the keys to death, hell, and the grave, because they gave him to the Apostle Peter, who was the first pope. Now, I don't know if Peter knew that, but to them, he's the first pope. The throat's a little dry here. Every once in a while, it slips up a little bit here. The Lord's laughing. He said, "That's funny, Jesse." I thought that's funny. I'm going to tell Peter. Don't tell Peter. Don't tell. So, when I read the Bible, Art, it was just like, okay.
I hope you're enjoying today's program. I want to tell you about this month's partner offer, the difference between enough and all. God doesn't want you to be satisfied with just enough. Enough runs out. But if you dedicate yourself entirely to the Lord, you get in a position to receive all of His goodness, and that's heaven on earth. Do you hear me? Heaven on earth. Find out how to get it at JDMDM.org.
You can broadcast the wonderful works of God right where you are. We have been entrusted to see to it that this message gets communicated to everyone, everywhere. You could be the one that changes somebody's life. You may not change thousands, but if you change one, that's all that counts.
Kathy Duplantis' Glorious, a Conference for Women, March 7th and 8th, 2025.
You know, God is the creator, and we should be creators too. In my book, Notes from a Vision Specialist, I reveal some of my vision impacting experiences so that you can make your vision real God's way. God wants you blessed and excited about your future. Order Notes from a Vision Specialist and decide to make the vision real.
Order your physical copy or digital download for your donation amount of $5 or more at JDM.org.
JDM is committed to bringing you messages of hope that will deepen your faith and bring you closer to Christ. We invite you to be a part of our mission to shine the light of Jesus to a dark and lonely world. Your giving not only helps us deliver joy-filled messages like these, but it also makes all of our evangelistic outreaches possible. Go to JDM.org and join our vision. Together, we can reach more people and change more lives, one soul at a time.